It is overtime here at Old Favorite Friday, and we are continuing a conversation about a very unique beer that I have not had in a while. And it is almost Christmas time. We're only a couple days away, so this is probably our last Christmas beer of the year. Even though this isn't even a Christmas beer, I think this beer is a year-round beer for them. But this is Samichlaus, or I've also heard it pronounced Samichlaus. This is a beer that I had early. This is another one of those beers I've had early in my craft beer drinking. I saw a beer that was 14%, a triple bock, and it blew my mind that this existed. I thought it was incredible. It's just big and sticky and sweet. And you were just mentioning some of the flavor that you're picking up off this beer, right?
Yeah, this beer is definitely, it's more like even cherry, strawberry jam than I would say dark fruit. Like, you're drinking something sweet. This is one of the surprisingly older beer styles that definitely skews sweeter than a lot of, the other bigger beers. Like, it's a big beer. And it's, almost running everything. It immediately makes me think of like a bakery or a donut shop, because it's all those kind of preserved fillings that this beer reminds me of.
I mean, listen, this is sweet, right? And typically we talk about beers on Old Favorite Friday, and one of the things that we always hit home is drinkability, and the fact that this beer is super dry and you can come back to it time and time again. This is a time and a place beer. I have to, there's no doubt about it. I don't want to drink 10 of these, right? But as far as flavor profile and complexity, this beer's off the charts. I mean, there's a ton going on in here with caramel and chocolate and all these sweet fruits. And there's Eric in the background. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
So yeah, it's a really, really interesting beer, and it's, like I said, it's time and a place kind of thing, right? If you're looking for a beer, you don't want it just be sweet, just sweet for the sake of sweet. There should be something else going on.
Yeah. And this is a beer I can see, especially in other places where it gets really cold, where you're, trying to stay warm, you're hanging around with family, maybe it's after a meal. I could see a bunch of small pours for people as just like an after dinner drink where you'd really enjoy it, especially if you have kind of, some kind of dessert going on and you're not trying to make anything too complicated. Let's say, you just want to pair something. This I could see going along with that sweet motif, and, just like you said, you're not going to chug a bunch of these, but in the right situation, would be an excellent beer to have.
No, that's the thing, is that, we talk about that. I mentioned that just now, sweet for the sake of sweet, right? We see a lot of that in brewing these days, right? You leave a beer sweet, people like sugar. That's a news flash, I know. People like sugar, people like sweet in their beers. We see it with the smoothie sours, right? Yeah. They're not sour at all, they're just sweet fruit juice. So is this a predecessor of those kind of beers?
I could see it being a predecessor. The one thing I'll say for this beer, though, that you actually made me think of, since it is a bock and it's in that style, I do appreciate that. I guess if you take a bock and turn it up to 14%, this is kind of where you would end up. So I think in an interesting way, it does kind of nail the style, because most even doppelbocks are like 7, maybe 8% tops. So I definitely see this being a predecessor, but I also think it is true to style. It's just they, cranked everything up to 11. So that's.
I mean, it definitely is in that conversation. I don't know if you remember Sam Adams Triple Bock.
Yep. I actually have a bottle preserved.
Yeah. So that Utopias, that Triple Bock, some of the Dogfish Head beers that your what am I blanking? 120-minute IPA, even worldwide stout, stuff like that. It's definitely in that territory, right?
Oh, for sure.
And I think there were a lot of beers that were in that category, at least around the time that I was getting into craft beer, right? We're talking 15 years ago or what have you. So I was really happy to see this beer. It was recommended by someone actually last year. For an Old Favorite Friday beer. We didn't get a chance to do it, but I figured, hey, it's almost Christmas time. This will probably be our last Christmas beer of the season, even though, as I said, I don't think this is a Christmas beer. I'm pretty sure you can find this year-round. It is only going to be found, though, in your specialty places, right? And even though this is in a can now, which I thought was really interesting that these come in cans, because I remember them being in bottles, I don't know about the ageability in a can, but ageability in bottles, this beer ages extremely well.
Oh, yeah. I was even going to say that beer and a lot of the ones you mentioned, I remember friends, when we used to get them, they would just hold on to it, be like, I'm going to hold on to this for like 5 or 6 years and then just have a bunch of vintages, and we'll just we'll just try them all one day. So
Yeah.
this is definitely something you could age for several years.
Another beer that reminds me of is Thomas Hardy's.
Oh, yeah.
Another beer that had, you know, lots of
that's
that could be a beer for Old Favorite Friday one day, because I've got a bunch of old Thomas Hardys over at the house, so maybe we'll crack one of those open one day for an Old Favorite Friday. But listen, Samichlaus, please, you know, give it a shot. Try the beer out. It's unique. It's interesting. It does sweet right, because it is complex. It gives you a ton of different flavors, and also as it warms up, you get more and more. Right. This is a beer that should not be served. Most beers shouldn't be either, but not ice cold, right?
No,
if a beer has to be served ice cold, it's probably not a very good beer. Anyway, that's my rant for that. Merry Christmas to all. If you're watching this around the time of year, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, and we'll see you again next time for All Favorite Friday. Cheers.
Cheers.